I can't see a thing. My eyesight has gotten so bad. Hello, 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 Savannah. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another edition of Candidly Kesha. I am here today with Miss Holly, who is going to basically tell us about the experience she's had. We are coming off of a busy week. Miss Holly Pace was a part of a lot of that busyness. We saw a lot of fallout over the past week as it relates to some issues on council. But previous to that, I had the opportunity to meet this woman, Miss Holly Pace, who was having an issue at her home. And she's going to tell us about that. But what I want to say to the citizens of Savannah tonight, one, thank you for allowing me in your space and for tuning in. And we want to ask that you share, and like for this very important message and information that we have for you this evening. You see, whenever we major in minor things, we miss the mark on those things that matter the most. And so what I want to help the citizens of Savannah continually understand is the fact that distraction is the greatest enemy of direction. And for far too long, we've had far too many distractions with no direction. And in fact, take, for example, what we are dealing with right now in our community. Everybody is talking about interpersonal relations and the lack thereof, as opposed to focusing on those things that matter most in our community when it comes to our tax dollars. Everybody is talking about what happened under the Gold Dome versus talking about T-Splost and the fact that the chairman of Chatham County, Chester Ellis, is looking to raise nearly $10 million without any clear vision or budget for those dollars. But we once again are looking to tax citizens. We're asking you to pony up another penny. And for what, right? Did anyone ask you about transportation opportunities in your community? Did anyone ask you what your priority was? No, right? So why should you be seeking to pay more? And then we have this whole notion of loss, local option sales tax. We know T-SPLOS is a transportation tax, E-SPLOS is the education tax, and SPLOS is for major special projects, in big infrastructure, schools, buildings like our arena project, one of the largest projects in the history of Savannah, um, uh, roads, infrastructure, water, sewer. But we are now entertaining loss negotiations. And the chairman is attempting to snatch away from the city of Savannah a great percentage of that lost money. And that essentially will translate to the property taxes of the citizens of Savannah nearly doubling. And who can afford that? Who needs that? Last year, and this year, the city of Savannah, the majority on council voted not to roll the millage rate back. And what that meant was an increase to your property taxes. The few proponents on council, myself, Alderwoman Blakely, and Alderwoman Bryant Lanier, did not vote to keep the millage rate the same or adjust the rate. We wanted to roll it back. And it has been said that the millage rate is currently the lowest rate, lower than it has been since 1987. Well, it could have been lower because the fact remains that the previous year, the city of Savannah collected more in tax revenue than was actually projected. In addition, this year, it was stated that we needed to increase the taxes so that we can increase the beginning salary of police officers. Well, I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, that we have been down more than 100 police officers for 2 consecutive years or more. And so that was all, those were all salaries that was budgeted for. So where does that money go? So it's time for the citizens of Savannah to not major in the minutia. Don't get caught up in the messiness of the messages that are spewed by the media and our local newspaper. But what we want you to do is to continue to pay attention to what matters. And that's crime in our community, poverty in our community, homelessness in our community. And until our response to those issues start to rival those personal and interpersonal relations, our citizens of Savannah should call foul on the media and ask that they stop weaponizing their platforms to go after politicians, and public servants like myself, but in fact, align themselves with journalistic integrity, whereby the citizens of Savannah will become informed and educated in ways in which will serve the populace in a better way. So, without further ado, I asked Ms. Pace to come on tonight simply because she, for a long time, has followed local government, lives in the 6th district, and has a lot to say about an issue facing her and her family and experiences that she has had. So, Ms. Holly, I want to give the platform to you tonight. Can you say hello? Can you say hello, Savannah? She's muted. Do you have her muted, producer? Let's give her a minute there.
How about now?
There you go.
Can you hear me?
I got you.
Okay. Thank you, Kesha. Thank you, Alicia. Citizens of Savannah, if you knew what these 2 women do, you wouldn't believe it. I mean, when you hear about, especially, I tell you what, Alicia, she'd go out and catch an alligator if she had to, if it was in your house. They'll do whatever. I live in Windsor Forest and have lived and complained since 2013 about a capital improvement project that was done between mine and my neighbor's house. Threw in a MS4 sewer. A lot of people maybe not know what that is. They increased the water by 4 times the original size into a small canal, and they never finished the project. And anybody that would care to look it up, you can find it. It's Switch and Bait. That was under Michael Brown, and it was under Tony Thomas. They decided, take that money, let's go to the Coffee Bluff Marina. Okay, so from there on, nothing else happened. I live on a golf course, and the project stopped at the end of my backyard. So they also did it on Georgia clay, which how many people know what Georgia clay is? It's a sinking clay. So this project has now eroded 2 feet my fence line. The Geechee River Keepers, who please donate, they're wonderful people, came out 3 Fridays ago before the bad rain and tested my water, and the E. coli was 2,680. Unacceptable. I mean, the EPA standards are below, actually zero, 100 minus. So not only do I have that, but there's nowhere for the water to go because it goes onto the golf course and gets where it's stuck. I mean, the city did no more. It gets down to about a 3 foot, I would say, area, and then onto a city-owned retention pond, which the assistant city manager, Heath Lloyd, denied to me that the city owned. Well, the city does own it because I've had 4 different sources and I looked up the deed. Yes, you own the retention pond, but you haven't touched it, but you've taken SPOS money from it. So therefore, the water has nowhere to sit. So on top of E. coli and on top of fertilizer, nitrogen, pesticides, everything backs back up my way and goes over the bank. Comes into my house, stays in our yard. It's a continuous battle. And within, I'm going to say maybe 15 minutes of a good hard rain, it goes over the bank. And the project was intended, basically, there wasn't a problem on the street. Maybe 1 or 2 houses had a little bit of water creeping up in their yard. But this project went on for almost a year. I mean, there were porta potties out and they worked, continuously on it. And the city did have a foreman over the project that unfortunately passed away, a very nice man who came to me many times and told me he couldn't sleep at night because he knew the project. And I mean, he was right on it, how we live. I mean, we're basically one day going to be in the canal because we keep shifting further and further. Our house leans, we have potholes. I mean, it's just, I can't sell it. Would have sold it years ago, but just because of the depressed level of it, leaning, the whole backyard leaning into the canal, there's basically nothing I can do. So I've tried with the city. You try, you call, and you think, oh boy, yeah, city's going to help you. Not going to help you do anything. I met with a mayor. Mayor treated me like a piece of trash. She says, oh no, not true. Didn't. Oh yeah, he told me that. For years, between mine and my neighbor's house where this canal sits, we've been maintaining the yard, keeping the grass cut. Now we've only got 2 feet on each side, so it's dangerous, but we've maintained it. And I told him that, and he basically asked me, what do you mean? What are you doing stepping on city property? And I'm thinking, man, if you got out the passenger side of the car, you're going to step on city property. I mean, I can't get my garbage cans around without getting on city property. So do you think we're cutting it or maintaining it anymore? Absolutely not. We are not touching it. Even when they come out with just a bag 6 months, and try and cut back, They cut back with weed whackers because you can't get around it. You're putting men, and I feel terrible because I know how contaminated the water is, and I'm thinking, who would put somebody in this water with weed whackers to clean it? I called them one day with the Savannah Impact program, believe it or not. Savannah Impact. No equipment on, no mask, gloves, anything in it. I reported that in a snap. But the guys that come out, I worry every time that somebody's going to get sick. But finding out the E. coli levels as high they are, I have a genetic colon condition. It saturates my yard, doesn't dry out. It's a continuous battle. Well, I'm going to say it's been 2 weeks ago, I called the Savannah Morning News out, and they came out, and I stayed out there with them, 102-degree heat index, and they were out a while asking questions. They had the photographer and it did everything, and I thought, okay, hot darn, here we go. Well, about the time they were getting ready to leave, here comes pulling up an electric car. The city attorney Bates Lovett in his Italian loafers, and don't know the gentleman's name, but he's new to the department. I think he came from Garden City Stormwater, and he goes and gets snake boots and puts on snake boots, okay, to walk the grounds, which are city property, back behind. I told the man, I said, you don't need those. I said, because we don't have snakes. We don't have snakes. We don't have torture shell turtles. We have nothing. The environment is dead. There's nothing to worry about. But he had on his snake boots and his hat, and okay, all right. Then I'm thinking, if you in stormwater, and he wanted to argue me down about a tree, I mean, a dead as dead pine tree, telling me it was fine. I'm thinking, I'm just not quite sure. But I'm thinking, okay, well, right now I know this article isn't going to run because what other reason did you come out but to talk to the paper and say, don't run the article? What are you hiding?
So
It's been too many times.
Not been published.
To what?
You spent
It did not get,
and it has not been
did not get published. Did not get published. But since that, you have seen anybody that gets a paper, I'm fixing to stop my paper. That's enough. You've seen the Bluff down, they've run articles on the Bluff, down at Isle of Hope, all different articles. Oh, no, left that out. The reason I did that, or I wanted that article run, is for the people who live downstream where this canal runs in their backyards that have no idea of the contaminated water. Well, people have children, have dogs. It runs straight down through the golf course, and it runs down, especially behind homes on Old Mill and Spanish Moss, excuse me, runs straight across White Bluff Road into the Vernon River and behind some homes on Vernon River Plantation. And I thought, if you're going to run it for any reason, you're going to run it for health purposes. I mean, just to let the public know. I mean, you would think the city of Savannah would let the public know. But it's not the first time it's happened. In 2019, the Rotary Club every year takes in donations and does one project. And their project in 2019 was called the Windsor Wise Project. I involved myself in it, went out, we marked stormwater drains, and after that, didn't hear another word. The city cut it off. It was cut off. And you're asking questions, but you don't get an answer. But I know at the time, Mr. Bell, who works for the city, was on the Rotary Club, and not sure because you got to be 50 or below. You could make it, Keisha. You're 50. You got a little while, but just saying that you have to, to be 50 or under to be on the Rotary Club. So all the work, the city decided that they couldn't do it. So I asked myself, you've got the Switch and Bait project, you've got the Windsor Wise, look it up. It's all still all in paper. You can find it anywhere. Why did they stop that? What are they trying to hide? I've gone to the news. They came out, that was cut off. Newspaper. I'm thinking for sure, this is not going to be a problem. Like I said, again, who comes showing up? They come showing up. How do they know? I mean, why would Mr. Bates come out here? So I've started watching Blue Blood episodes, and I'm thinking they use this word all the time, lawyer up. So that's what I've had to do, is lawyer up.
Now,
And whatever.
I want to stop you right there, because this is a part of where we came in. Just before this, you had been working with the 6th District Alderman Curtis Purdy, and shortly after, well, not shortly after, some time after, not getting the response you desired or the support you needed, you reached out to myself and Alderwoman Blakely, but you were copying the entire council, or at least the at-large and the mayor, on emails. And that's essentially how I initially connected with you, reached out, forwarded your information to the city manager, and asked that they review this and revisit providing support to you. And fast forward, nothing very much came of that, but we were asked to come out to your home. You called myself and Alderman Blakely and asked us to come out to get a visual of what you were actually experiencing. And I have to tell you, it was quite disturbing what we saw. And so the long and short of it is, what we want to acknowledge, even with my layman's eye, I can tell that something is very wrong where your home is, and the adverse implications of being next to that canal. I witnessed and saw mold growing up the side of your house. There are sinkholes in the grass, and you suspect that you even had a pet succumb to what essentially probably was some form of toxic.
It's hard for me to talk about because I've got his brother on the bed. They came out here in May, and I wasn't home, but my husband works from home 2 days a week, and they slop. All they do, like I said, is weed whack it, and then they leave it in the canal. Okay. And they slop mud all in my yard. And my husband had let them out in the backyard, and he was a paw licker, and he ended up, getting pancreatitis. And after $11,000, I lost him. Um, and I'm gonna tell you, it put me in the bed for about 3 weeks. I could barely take it. I mean, it's hard enough. I mean, my poodles, and I'm at me right now, his brother, but it was hard. And I thought at that time, you've taken my house because it's leaning. You've taken my property. You've taken our health because of the mold spores. It's right next to my garage. So every time you open the garage, open the house, they come in the house. Took my dog. I don't have anything else to give them. I've give out. Okay. I've had it. It's irresponsible. I have people ask me out here, what did you call the city? Did you call the mayor? Did you call the alderman? Did you call? Yeah, I've called everybody. I've emailed everybody. We had a sewer backup sewer leak back in, I think it was in November, December, and they didn't come out to the next day. Wasn't the fault of the director of the sewer, but they came out, and the city manager came out, and yeah, so they all called out. Okay. But you try to call somebody in a stormwater department, I could probably name 25 neighbors out here that has tried to get in touch with the stormwater director, and I believe his name is Zach Hoffman. No return phone calls. I don't care what department you call at the city, you're not going to get a return phone call. They don't call you back. Yeah, I've had many emails that I have sent. They get them, but do they respond? No, they don't respond. No, but if you're guilty of something, you do to people and you ignore them because you know that you're wrong. You know what you did was wrong. I mean, you know that. I mean, I know that. We all know that. And I, I'm at the point where I'm thinking more concerned about my health. I mean, it's more of a concern of health, and you can't help but feel like that. I mean, there's just no other way. But you know, we begged, plead people, and it's not going to do you any good. I try to tell people, and I'm going to put this right here. I don't know if anybody can see it. Well, I'm not the wrong way. You can't see my babies, but those are my two. Those were my the brothers forever. You know, they're gone. I mean, I lost him, and I still blame the city. And I'd like people to see a few things that may be difficult to see, but when it rains, this is hard to see. It's over the bank. It's nasty water. Um, it's not showing up very well. I know it's not, and I'm going from one direction to the next, but that's about what the color of the water is. It's yellow. It's contaminated. Um, it's not fair to anybody. And if anybody can see that this right here, I'll be honest with you, this is nasty to look at. If I can get it over here, that's when I was bringing in my trash cans and I slipped down the canal and broke all my ribs on my left side, because that's the only way to get in is with me trying to get back in. But it's just it's gotten to the point that I'm like, it's the only thing you can do. I think they want this, and in fact, this is exactly what when they come out and they cut it, this is what they do. Just leave every bit of it back in. And pictures may not tell a lot, and that's hard to see too, but that is what it does when it rains. It is over the bank and it floods into my yard. And this is what it actually does. If I get it back over, it saturates my yard. This is in between my yards. It's just standing water that stays there. And it's nasty. That is what in fact, going down, if anybody can see this is what it did on that Friday. It went all the way down to the Vernon River from this. It was over the bank from my house, because I'm the discharge canal. It discharges. This is a discharge spot. And that is actually like the golf course, the pond that they own, the city owns. They've let that road, so there's nowhere for it to go. Of course, the assistant city manager wanted to argue with me that the city didn't own that canal, or excuse me, the retention pond on the golf course. Yeah, you own it. You own the water, you own the system, you own the canal, you own it. And I've checked it. I've checked the deed, I've checked everything. Be honest with people. If anybody can see this, that's how close that canal is to my house. It's right up on us, you know. And all I've asked, but I'm not going to ask anymore because nobody listens, is you want to live in a healthy environment. I mean, it's basically, that's my wish. And it's my
Yeah.
wish for other people too, you know.
That was a part of why I would share my space with you, Ms. Pace, because my heart, along with Alderwoman Blakely, in comparison to what you are going through and what you are having by way of a response from the city, I want you to know that I represent the city of Savannah. Nonetheless, I have one vote and one voice, and that voice has not mattered where this situation is concerned. And so I wanted you to know, because it's one thing to say what you um, how you feel and that you are concerned, but then there's another thing to do something about it. And because you and so many others who have reached out to us with regard to property issues and environmental issues that you are facing, I wanted to share my platform with you to acknowledge that this is where my support is. My support is always going to be with the people. And I know we cannot right every wrong, we cannot rectify every situation. But in this situation, I believe that you have invested enough via tax dollars in this city for us to come very close to making you whole. And the only thing I was asking was for our assistant city manager to give me a commitment that they would revisit this situation, given the fact that you had new information, that there were new developments occurring with that property. And you came to chambers to basically acknowledge this. There was an item on the agenda that would have given space for you to lend your voice to the situation, but unfortunately, the mayor did not allow you to speak, and you were pretty miffed. And so I want
I
to
was
fast it. Go ahead.
I was miffed, but all I wanted to say, and my only comment was, please ask, your storm, when they come out and cut, please do not leave it in the canals because you're backing it up. That was it. That was it. Yeah, but he shut me down. Same way he shut me down when he arranged eating and gave me, told me not to step on city property, which believe me, I have to walk a fine line, but I'm avoiding it, And I think after you turn 62 and you realize that you live in a city that's just corrupt, and they're not going to do anything about it. They talk about it. People see it in the paper every Thursday, noxious weed growth and everything, all these ordinances they put out. Okay. Nothing goes down the drain but, storm water. But then their own people are out clogging up stormwater canals. Yeah. I mean, it's just, why even come up with the laws that you come up with? It doesn't even make sense. They come up with this ordinance and that ordinance. These people are fined for it. They fine people, but they're doing worse than what the people are doing.
Right.
And that's
And
and that's basically the truth.
and that's a little bit of the consistent theme that we are seeing. I must say that the city manager has been somewhat responsive with many of the requests that I have made, which was so disappointing when it came to your request. Um, I think the city staffers are doing the best they can with what they have. I personally feel like from the police department to code compliance, from community services to sanitation, our city staffers are suffering a great deal in that there has been little to no continuity in leadership. We have had 6 to 7 city managers in the last 10 years. And that's a lot. That's a lot to hold it together. And that's one of the main reasons why I don't think the citizens of Savannah should have their property taxes increase when their services are lacking or somewhat faulty in some regard. But I know that many of the staffers of the city of Savannah are hardworking, well intended people, but they are bound by exercising or carrying out actions under the direction of leadership, which is not always good. And so we know that we have a huge issue in some of the departments, but I feel like we are slowly turning the tide, but we're not turning it fast enough for you. And the situation that you are in. And so it is my hope that going forward, while I cannot engage in or make comment where any litigious matters are concerned, I want you to know that you have my full support, and anything that we can do for you from our position and from our place, I'm here. But before we close, Ms. Pace, and I'll give you an opportunity to close out as well, I also invited you because much has been said about the whole scenario with the egregious remarks Curtis Purdy made toward me. And if we have any small children in the room, we'll ask that you not have them listen to this portion of the interview. But you, myself, and the assistant city manager, Heath Lloyd, were having a triangular conversation. We had probably about 4 items left on the agenda when I saw you get up to exit the chambers. And before you left, I looked over and you were having some words with Heath Lloyd. And shortly, Heath Lloyd got up and invited you outside the chambers to continue the conversation. Well, when I saw that, I also saw the police officer, Billy Gray, who is assigned to be the mayor's personal security and errand person, and slash secretary in our mayor's office. I saw him get up and go behind you all. And I thought, I said to Alderwoman Blakely, let me go make sure Miss Pace is going to be okay. Because I can tell.
I wondered myself, do I look, what do I look like I could do? I mean, was he going to cuff me? Was he going
Right.
to take me off? I
I was
mean, look.
exactly. So I was like, well, let me just go and make sure everything is going to be okay. And so, as I stated, there were probably 3 to 4 items left on the agenda that did not need my attention. And for the most part, I supported those items. And so, as I left, the meeting was going on, and we were near the northern end of the dome in the rotunda, closer to the I'm sorry, the more southern end of the mayor's near the mayor's entrance into the suite. And we were having a great conversation, and I thought we were actually starting to make some progress in that I at least got the assistant city manager to say that he would give consideration to revisiting your case. And so, in short order, after I would say probably about, what do you say, about 7 minutes of that conversation, you and I both.
I watched back at it, and I think he was, who you're referring to, was sort of itching to get out of the seat. There were quite a few of them itching, and I'm thinking, do you not have anything? It's not important enough. Everybody wants to know what's going on, which was not that much, because I only said to Lloyd, nothing disrespectful. I walked out and I said to him, I said, I hope you sleep well at night. His smart aleck remark back to me was, I sleep really well. And I said, okay, well, then he followed me out and argued me down that the city did not own the pond on the golf course, that it's the golf course's problem for backing up, which that was an absolute lie, and that he didn't work for the city during the project. Second lie, he argued with me. And then everything was going on behind me, which I could hear that too. In fact, as I told you, that my nephew is actually a sound engineer for a big part recording artist, and he's fixing to work on that actual video and block out certain sounds, and we can hear everything that we want to hear. Okay, which I'll give to you. Okay, because like I'm tough enough that I'm going to take Heath Lloyd, and I'm not a rude person. I'm a kind person. I'm not going to sit there and argue with anybody. But yeah, I felt really he tried to intimidate me, the officer that followed me out.
Right. And so the point that I want to make is that
You were minding your business. You were trying to help me, but then you were attacked. I mean, I think you even looked the other way. You were with us, but then you got distracted.
right. And so
After Curtis came out, yeah, that's absolutely the truth.
yes. And
Absolutely the truth. And
go ahead.
I worked for state government for too many years, and I saw too much stuff going on. And there was one thing I wasn't going to do. I wasn't going to watch the lies and the deception and the stealing and everything that went on behind closed doors. Okay, people can choose to do that, but I'm too ethical. And I heard it. I saw it. You were trying to be helpful. There was no reason for anybody else to have gotten involved, but I think they all came out. I think it was Marty Johnson, who does something for the mayor. He's not going to get involved in anything. And Heath Lloyd, and I think there were several officers. There was also another officer that had on a body. He had on a camera and the recorder.
Yeah, you were
Okay.
of a heist or something. And I want to again apologize to you for that experience. It's something that I have grown accustomed to, but something that certainly a taxpaying citizen of Savannah does not deserve. And so for that, I apologize.
Never been to a city council meeting, and that was my experience. I've seen them do horrible, intimidating things to people. A girl that just wanted a wine license to teach people how to cook, people that wanted to look, just simple things. And they get there and they embarrass them and they humiliate people. And it's ridiculous. And I thought, yeah, I went to that one. That was the only one I've ever been to. But believe me, I won't go back to another one. After the treatment
Well, we
that
apologize.
I received.
We certainly need your engagement, need you to stay involved. And I appreciate your willingness to come on and help set the record straight. And one of the main reasons is because Adam Van Brimmer and the Savannah Morning News continue with being just as petty as some of the people on our council with their messaging and framing a narrative. He wrote recently in an opinion page that someone sent to me, and you would have thought that I actually called Curtis Purdy the black ghetto bitch when I, in fact, was called
Yeah.
it. It's a classic case of victim blaming. 2 weeks prior, Curtis Purdy told me to shut up during a live city council meeting and nothing happened. And so we see fast forward when I'm, as you stated, minding my own business, having a conversation with you, when he, as a police officer, is trained to mitigate and de-escalate, he could have taken the northern exit toward the elevators of the outside of the rotunda, but instead he came near me, who doesn't want anything to do with him, and he came near you, who didn't want anything to do with him, and to gravitate to the lowest road, where not only do you call me out of my name, you also lied about why you called me out of my name. He said that he called me out of my name because I call him a pedophile, and that I call him a pedophile because he's gay. And it's insulting. It's ridiculous because from where I'm from, being gay has nothing to do with pedophilia. And so it's a continuation of playing this dangerous game of politics where they are more inclined to move through the motion of the political spectrum and play these dangerous games than they are taking care of the people. And so, Ms. Pace, I want you to join me in taking the high road, where we continue to do what we do, and that's to advocate for what's right and to give voice to these situations and help shed light in areas where the media just will not go, because it's their whole goal to protect the establishment. And as long as
Learned it. I learned it firsthand to have a city a city attorney who has his job at the city and then another position with his own office to come pulling up here in that electric car, and to when the newspaper was there and he spoke to the camera guy, because the new environmental reporter is new, and obviously they told them they couldn't run it. So is there kickback money somewhere? What's going on? This is the same thing that happened with the one of the TV channels. All of a sudden, you can't do it. No, what's going on there? That's my I guess that's my question. You know, is it kickback? And no, my husband's in there, and if he ever told me to shut up, he'd be shut up, because he'd be in his car going down to the Red Roof Inn or somewhere. You don't tell women to shut up. You don't talk to women that way. Okay, it's a way. I'm sorry. I'm a Catholic. I swear on my Catholic faith. If every Catholic I know doesn't vote for you for mayor, like trouble. And me in this environment, this is a joke, but I've got to go out and try to find me a Catholic. I got to find me a plot in the Catholic cemetery. I don't know if there's any left, because I worry about my health, with the sinuses and nosebleeds and everything from the mold. But, other than that, it's just, it's sickening. It's wrong. It's sickening. They're not going to do anything, Kesha, because Lloyd's been out here and he can say this, he can lie again. I don't care. Like my attorney told me, anybody can lie. Well, lie, yeah. You go to heaven or you go to hell? I don't know. It's not for me to judge. But he told me that no state laws, no city ordinance were followed, and there was absolutely nothing they could do. No, because they put millions and millions of dollars on it, and they're not going to put any more money in it. Okay. So that's what I said. You have no other choice but to take your money out of your 401k and you lawyer up, and you're going to have to go after them. And I'm going to tell you, if it were me or you and the things that they've done, we'd be in an orange jumpsuit. Federal prison. Orange is not my color. Okay. I'm just saying, to me, what they did here, what they did to me is criminal. It's a criminal. It was criminal. It's a criminal to make people's health bad and to ruin their property. It's criminal. And that's just my opinion. As I often say, it's maybe not the truth to everybody, but it's my opinion that it was criminal.
Well, the situation that you are in, I saw firsthand the living conditions, and I cannot understand with a layman's eye or a trained eye, why a person cannot see what's wrong there. And the other point that's very important is that this is not just about you. This is about other homeowners in the area as well. And so we will continue to advocate on your behalf. I don't know where the situation will go legally. We have to be hands off where that's concerned. But
you cannot say anything legally. But
yes,
if it takes everything I've got, you can't say it, and it's not your job to say it. You're legally, it's no. But if it takes me going to federal court, I'll go to federal court. If I had to have a jury come out here, what do you think a jury's going to say if they came out here? Well, I've been on a jury before. What are you going to say?
Mm-hmm.
It's right there, and anybody with a little bit of intelligence can see what's going on here. But I can't say, and I'm telling everybody out there, again, I read something earlier. If your car breaks down, you break your leg, your arm, you got a coyote in your house, a cat in the tree, you stuck on the roof, you call Kesha or you call Alicia, okay? And they're coming. They're going to come out and they're going to help you, okay? Believe me, all right? I trust in them. Then they don't just leave you after that. They keep following up with you.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And
So
no one would have ever known we were connected had it not been for the episode that occurred in the rotunda. So again, I apologize for that. For me, Miss Pace, this is less about and more about making you whole. And so public service is truly something that I signed up for to expand decades long of serving the public. And it's not something that I shy away from. It's something that I do from my whole heart. But I am tasked with finding the voice of people who are not hiding behind friendship, relationship, kinship, and who are not afraid to stare down the lies and tell the truth about what we are facing in this community. And because of the latest attempt at political assassination by Adam Van Brimmer, who has zero journalistic integrity and continues to contribute to the deprivation of the newspaper that's quickly becoming a pamphlet. I wanted to have you come on and help me frame that story as well as tell yours. And so I want to say thank you.
my newspaper has been cut. I've been getting the paper for 25 years. There's nothing local. There's nothing of interest. They report the same thing 3-4 days in a row. I'm done with the paper. I look at thing on my Google. Adam Van Brimmer or Bremer or whoever works for that. He didn't say it, but they can, because if they acted with the city of Savannah and they abide by what they say can be done, or they won't show that article that would make a difference in somebody's or child getting in that water or somebody's dog. Okay, if they care, they don't care any more than that. That's horrible. I did, and that's the reason I did it, because I thought maybe not me, but people downstream need to know. Okay, they need to keep their kids, their dog out of water.
Right. And that was a part of my
Instead of
and that too, Miss Pace, was a part of my motivation for uh, continuing to share publicly, because it's not something that I'm excited about doing at all. I feel like it's a waste of time, but there is a real dynamic of gaslighting that happens in this community, and unfortunately, our media affiliates, both television and print, WJCL is doing a far better job than any of them, but there is a strategic and coordinated attempt to frame and form a narrative that is consistent with status quo politics and government in our community and the takers of our community. And so you have to ask the question, where does this motivation come from? And when you see that they continually highlight and feature the most marginalized individuals on council who do not fight for anyone, and are aligning themselves with the classes and elitists of this community. But for those of us, myself, Alderwoman Blakely, and Lanier, who are on the front lines every day of the worst hurt that the citizens of Savannah experience, we are the ones who face strong, harsh judgment and critique and public ridicule simply for doing our jobs. And we call foul. And as long as we can, we will continue to rely on the platforms of ATR and Unity Political Action Committee Those guys care a great deal for me and have utilized their platforms as well to tell the story. And so we're just asking for individuals who are not on social media. If you know people who are not on social media, we ask that you talk to people, spread the message. I am not so desperate to win public office than I am to lose my soul. And so for me, this is a sincere service that we have signed up for. We intend to be the 68th mayor of Savannah and demonstrate to Savannahans what true leadership looks like, and not utilizing the platform of the chambers as a bully pulpit to abuse and attack political rivals, if you will. And so we're going to go forth and run a great race, and we are pleased to have your support and endorsement, and know that above all, we want to make sure that you become whole. So thank you so much. And
I appreciate it. And I'll say it again. You're doing the right thing. You're doing the decent thing. You and Alicia, people do know though, Kesha, there's doctors, there's attorneys, there's congressmen, there's plenty of people that I speak to. I know I've lived here all my life. I know a lot of people, and they know the truth. They
yes,
know what you're doing, believe me. They know what you're doing. Okay.
Yes,
they see it, they heard it, they know it. So the truth is out there. Okay. Trust me, it's out there.
yeah. And I live
Okay.
by the
Kids, girls, I love y'all, and y'all keep the good work up.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody, anybody listening. Believe me when I tell you, it's bad out here. Okay. It's bad. I mean, when you live the way I live, it's not good. You're not safe. Don't call the city of Savannah for about stormwater or a lot of things. Okay. Once you get on their radar, they're not going to do anything for you. But good night.
Well,
Get back to my Blue Bloods episode. Get back to my Blue Bloods episode so I can find out, get more about the law enforcement.
Well, we
take care.
Have a good night.
Okay, you do the same.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
Listen, everyone, thank you again for tuning in with us on another Monday edition of Kandily Kesha. We are going to end this podcast now. If you have any questions, I will follow up with you in the chat, or you can inbox me. I am so happy to know that we all weathered the little storm, and we, of course, send out our prayers and well wishes for those who were in the storm's path. We have been fortunate in Savannah, but it's a little difficult to say we're fortunate when we know that somebody is on the other side of that destruction, hurt, and pain. And so we continue to pray for our city, pray for our coast, and continue to do the best that we can with what we have. My focus is always people first. And so while others are majoring in the minor things, just know that in the grand scheme of it all, it doesn't feel like what it looks like. I'm still here. We're not going to give up, give in, or give out. This basically, as far as I'm concerned, is dress rehearsal. So if we can't take this, Savannah, we're not going to be able to handle the top job. So let's go get it. Have a good night. And as always, I love y'all. Good night.
I like that. like this. I like that.